time to play ball. Welcome to the podcast with no limits. Whether it be sports, current events, or random thoughts, this is the place to step in and stay a while. Your host is a proud alumnus of Rio Hondo Prep, a former minor league baseball umpire, and a man with strong opinions. Welcome to the Get Home Safe podcast and your host, Matt Hersema.
Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Get Home Safe. Happy month of May to everybody out there. I feel like we just started this year, 2022, and here we are in the month of May. And a month, I will say, that is pretty underrated if you look at the calendar. Not necessarily from a sports standpoint, but the month of May, it's sneaky good. It's sneaky good in the sense of, you know, school is wrapping up for high schoolers. Some kids even these days end school in the month of May. And then it's playoff time for the spring sports and high school sports. You got the NFL draft is out of the way, which we'll get to in a second here. It's kind of like you're on the doorstep of summer, right? And for us kids, and definitely when I was in college, just could not wait to get to those heated months. Oh man, put the school year behind me and move on. So the month of May, college baseball wrapping up. You got Memorial Day on the horizon, which is the official start of summer. I don't know, from a sports standpoint, not a whole lot going on, but you're usually a month in here with your baseball teams. The hockey playoffs are upon us. If you guys can't tell, got my LA Kings gear. The LA Kings back in the hockey playoffs. It's been quite some time. Excuse me. Let me say it correctly. The Stanley Cup playoffs. Just very excited for that. For Kings fans out there, games are on Monday night, Wednesday night, Friday night, and Sunday night. Pretty easy. 7 o'clock every night. I know you guys are getting this episode on Tuesday probably, but I am recording this a little early on Sunday actually, just to I had some free time and thought, let's get it done. Don't have to look at any games on Sunday or anything. So happy month of May to you guys. One thing I cannot stand in the month of May, you guys know I can't always be happy, right? Is this whole, I mean, you talk about a pandemic. I mean, it comes around every year, and every year we got to see all these memes and all these stupid, yes, I said stupid Star Wars posts on May 4th. May the 4th be with you. Oh my goodness. It doesn't even make sense. Stop saying it. I used to like Star Wars. Then it got ruined. It's now Disney and they've ruined it. They've taken it to, I mean, how many times can we talk about a battleship in space and this guy's father and this guy's his cousin and now they're evil, then they were bad, they were good. I don't even know anymore. I used to like the original Star Wars. I even like the prequels, the 1 through 3, because I was like, okay, this is my generation. And then it just got carried away. I stopped watching. Maybe I'm the one who's out of the loop, which I hope I am. May the 4th. I swear, from midnight on May 4th until 11:59 p.m. on May 4th, it is just, come on. Are we adults or not? And this is no knock on you Star Wars fanatics out there. Like I said, I used to like it. I good versus evil. I can get behind all that stuff. But it's just gotten so carried away. And, I'm a lunatic for in a Rams jersey or a Kings jersey or whatever. But people dress up as Star Wars. And you're good people. You're nice people. I love you. Some of you I go to for my Star Wars questions, if I've ever had any, which I haven't had many. But May the 4th is special Star Wars Day. And do we need a day for everything? Can we stop having a day for everything? We have like 6 major holidays. Then we have like 6 or 7, JV holidays, we'll say. And it's just, we have, today is International Pizza Day, which, hey, I support. But we need a day for everything. Everyone needs a moment. And it's like, no, sorry. Some teams are always going to draft at the front of the draft because they're bad. And some teams don't even know what a first round draft pick is, AKA the Rams. By the way, coffee in a mug, when you drink it out of a travel container all week, when you get to sit down and have a nice cup of Joe, just in your home, with your coffee, with your personal cup here or any mug. Oh, spectacular. I mean, it's the little things, right? It's the little things. Maybe one day a week, you only get to drink out of a mug and just enjoy yourself rather than pouring it up, heading out the door, which I actually like. It gets me going, gets my day going, gets the week going, but it's the little things. But May 4th, Can we ease up on the Star Wars stuff? We get it. We get it. It's very cool. They got lightsabers and lasers and is Darth Vader? Is he still around? I don't even know which galaxy or time frame we're in anymore. Luke came back, and then don't tell me any spoilers, but I probably won't watch it anyway. But I was just like, the prequel. What was the prequel? The prequel one was pretty good with the something the I don't know, that Capricorn one. That's another movie. You guys know what I'm talking about. It's the one right before the original Star Wars, A New Hope. Anyway, enough Star Wars talk. We're gonna get plenty of that on Wednesday from the people that are sitting around waiting all year for this, like this is opening day of the baseball season or something. So anyway, hockey playoffs, LA Kings, go. It's been a while. So, if you're not into hockey, I get it. I haven't watched a ton of games this year because I haven't been able to, but I will be watching these playoff games. Those are just games 1 through 4. It's the Edmonton Oilers. What do we call this? Maybe the Wayne Gretzky series, but I don't know. The Kings barely got in, but they were in first time in a while. And as we've seen in the past, all things change in the playoffs. Playoff hockey, I would put up against any playoff, especially ones with series. It's hard to say March Madness, the NFL playoffs is not as good as hockey, but I would put the NHL playoffs up against NBA playoffs, Major League Baseball playoffs, hands down. Even though I love baseball, I love basketball too, but there's something about the intensity of hockey, the playoff beards, the goaltending, the series, the whole, oh man, it's just, there's storylines. I hope the Kings make a stand here, make a stand, pull your sword out, at least defend your home turf. It's going to be exciting. And I like that the games are going to be on TV, regular TV. You don't have to go searching for them and stuff. So ESPN2, Monday night, Wednesday night, although you guys are hearing this after that. And then Friday, Sunday, I think are on TBS. So that's your Kings update for today. Go Kings, go. Jonathan Quick, man, if he played like he did a week or so ago against those Orange County Ducks, I mean, anything could happen. And Dustin Brown, congrats to him on an amazing career. Team captain, 2-time Stanley Cup champ. He's calling it quits after this. I shouldn't say calling it quits. He's retiring respectfully, and one of the greatest Kings of all time, in my opinion. Just a class act. And let's get one more for Brownie. What do you guys say, huh? Go Kings, go. Let's go. In other playoff news, our beloved Rio Hondo Prep spring teams, the baseball team and softball team, will be participating in the CIF playoffs starting this week. We know who the young ladies are playing. We don't yet know, as I record this, who the young men are playing, but I got to give credit to the softball team, the Rio Hondo Prep Cares, 12-0 in the Prep League, another Prep League championship. Congrats, ladies. Well-deserved. You guys are representing Rio Hondo Prep quite well. And the game they're playing a first round game Thursday against La Quinta. I think it's the Westminster team, not the Palm Springs team. I've gone out there and worked a football game one time. It's way out there, but I think it's the Orange County La Quinta, and the Cares are going up against, schools now with huge enrollments, much like the football team did against Charter Oak and such. But hey, there's no excuses to be made. The Cares 12-0 going into the CIF playoffs. They got the pitching, they got the fielding, they got the defense, the offense, they got it all. And, what a team to watch. So if you are able to get out and see the Cares on that beautiful softball diamond on Thursday, 3:15, let's say 3:15. So you're not late. I don't know if it's 3:15 or 3:30, but let's get in there, pack the stands and cheer on the Cares. I know they're ready to make a softball run here, and man, it would be awesome to see the ladies just go deep in the playoffs and shock the world. And I will be tuning in. Don't know if I'm going to be able to get there, but I'm going to try to get there Thursday afternoon to witness the Lady Cares taking on the La Quinta softball club, and should be exciting. Go Cares, go Cares, go. The baseball side of things, the boys did inch their way into the playoffs. They needed one win over Chadwick on the last week of the season last week, and they play Tuesday and Friday, kind of your prep league, like the mini series, right? They needed one of two. They were down early to Chadwick on Tuesday, not playing well on defense, apparently making some errors, and their pitching, is not their strength, we'll say. And I think they would admit that they are an offensive team, but they were able to rally. And a big part of their rally was RHB Jr. Ryan McCullough hitting a grand slam. Rio was down 5-1, maybe a 6-1, 6-1, I think, but they rallied. Ryan McCullough with a grand slam, 7 RBI on the day, 7. Pretty impressive. And that's a little, there's little tidbits sometimes I have when you say RBI, you don't say RBIs. It's already the plurals on the front, right? He had 7 runs batted in. It's not runs batted ins. So if you want to be technical, you want to be, I don't know, you want to sound like a better baseball person. When you say plural RBI, it's still RBI. Ryan McCullough was 7 RBI on the day. At least that's my opinion. My opinion. It doesn't have to be. Everyone else says RBIs, ribeyes, couple steaks, whatever, however you want to go with it. It's a little bonus tip there. He had 7 RBI. I started doing it when I heard that was the proper way to say it. And, I move on. Anyway, Ryan McCullough, great job driving in all those runs on Tuesday. The Cares took down the Dolphins to officially clinch a playoff spot as 3rd place in the Prep League behind those dreaded Rebels of Flint Ridge and the Pasadena Poly Panthers. But hey, you're in the dance. Now you see what happens. The Cares baseball team will not know who they're playing until Monday morning at 10 a.m. on CIFSS.org. Go to there. By the time this episode is out, you should be able to find and know who the baseball team is playing. So it'll probably be a road game. It might be a nice road trip, probably playing Tuesday or Wednesday. I'm not exactly sure. Hopefully it's not on Thursday, so you can get out and watch the girls at home and the boys wherever they're going to end up playing. But it's an exciting time, as I mentioned, the month of May Madness. Can we call it that? I don't know. Rio Hondo Prep teams both in the postseason. And for those seniors out there, man, enjoy these last couple of days. Whether you guys go deep in the playoffs or this is it for you, you have a few more practices of your Rio Hondo Prep careers, and then you go into bigger and better things. Most of you won't be sitting around doing a free podcast like I'm doing, just sitting here and rambling away. You're going to have great futures. But for us alumni who, are proud of you guys and are always going to look back and be like, hey, I used to do that. You get to be members of us eventually. But for now, let's hold off. Let's see if the Cares baseball and softball teams can make a playoff run. So check out where the boys are playing. Get out and support them. Like I said, I'm going to try to get to both of these games this week. Should be able to, but it just depends on where they're at, timing, and all those things. So be sure to check out Get Home Safe Podcast's Facebook page, and I will try to post some content there. I might not do interviews and things like I did before, but I will try to do updates, maybe some short videos while I'm at these games. So let's go Hondo, right? Let's go. Here we go. Some great stuff I saw from the weekend. Obviously, I'm an NFL draft guy. You guys know that about me. I'm one of those guys that love seeing the blending of college and NFL football all coming together. It's really neat to see. It's authentic, I believe. These guys are becoming millionaires overnight just with a phone call. You're sitting around waiting impatiently to see who's going to take you. And I just love seeing the phone calls, between the coaches and the kid, the GM, the players with their families. And it's always interesting to see, oh, okay, let's see who showed up for you wonder sometimes if you were to be drafted, who would be in that living room with you? You know what I mean? Ask yourself that question. I wondered a time, and I'd be like, well, when I was 21, 22, yeah, I probably would have different people in that room with me than I would if I was drafted now at 37. So that's no knock on anybody. Just like, your life changes, right? And I think for a lot of those guys drafted, they may look back and be like, oh yeah, I had so-and-so in the room with me. He didn't really care about me. Or maybe I should have had someone, anyway, these are just my observation. I'll get more on the draft, but I want to mention something that I saw this weekend. Two great boxing fights. Shakur Stevenson and Oscar Valdez, 2 undefeated junior lightweights. I mentioned to you their names before. This was a big buildup. Oscar Valdez 30-0, Shakur Stevenson 17-0. These are names you want to watch and you want to remember. Honestly, Valdez put up a good fight, but Stevenson was just so much better than he was. I mean, he looked bigger. He looked just in total control, and he kind of breezed to a unanimous decision. The one thing I'll say about Stevenson is, well, 2 things. every time I see him fight, I get so I just like, he's better than I thought he was. He makes it look easy. I'm just like, maybe this will be a true test. And each time he just takes control, maybe takes a few blows, and then just takes over and ends up dominating. I mean, this has happened repeatedly in all 18 of his fights now 18-0. And this is a guy, I mean, he'll eventually move up to lightweight and beyond, I think. But for now, he's the dude to beat at the junior lightweight, 130 pounds, which is crazy to think about weight wise, but just a stud. I don't love his some of his theatrics. Like after the fight, he's kind of making it all, all fighters have that about them. This whole like, it's all about me or whatever. But I don't know. There's a classy way to carry yourself. I'm not saying he's classless or anything. He just pushed the envelope. He kind of like intimidates and taunts a little bit too much for my taste. But hey, when you're the best, that's the thing in fighting. In fighting, he's put up or shut up, and he's done that. So congrats to Stevenson on securing another belt. And man, looking to be definitely the best junior lightweight in the world. And Valdez, he'll bounce back for sure. He was getting his tail kicked, but he hung in there. He hung in there and landed some good shots himself. But it was clearly Shakur Stevenson who won that fight. The women's boxing world was pretty impressive on Saturday night. Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano fought in Madison Square Garden. It was a headline event, not the co-main. It was the main event. The first time I think in women's boxing history where it's been the main event at Madison Square Garden, and it absolutely delivered. People will knock me and be like, "Matt, you don't like women's sports," and I'm like, no, that's not it at all. There's other elements there. I appreciate greatness. I appreciate athleticism. I don't care who it is. If it's high school boys, if it's women in the octagon, women in the boxing ring, I don't care what it is. I appreciate good athleticism and competition. And what I saw Saturday night, Katie Taylor out of Ireland and Amanda Serrano from Puerto Rico. Wow. What a fight. Now listen, in women's boxing, they're 2-minute rounds instead of 3-minute rounds, which we need to fix. We need to fix that. I'm sorry. If you can play the sport, you can play the sport. Like, you know what I mean? Women's basketball, they have like a smaller ball, and I'm like, what are we doing? But anyway, okay, fine. But in boxing, in fighting, you don't see different minute rounds in the women's side of UFC, right? It's 3 5-minute rounds, or in title fights, 5-minute rounds. But in boxing, for some reason, they want to go from 3-minute rounds to 2-minute rounds. It does make for very quick and exciting fights for sure. But hey, let's get to equality. Let's get to where we should be. Let's get women's boxing to 3-minute rounds. But anyway, Katie Taylor, considered the best in the world, really showed that on Saturday. But I got to tell you, Amanda Serrano put up a fight herself. She is now 42-2-1. So she came into this with one loss. Katie Taylor has now improved to 21-0. And she is something to watch. She's got this like killer face about her when she walks in the ring and really never changes. And I'm not much for ties. I've said this a million times. I hate ties, but I don't know. Sometimes you see a fight that is just too dang close. And I'm almost like, if you got to have a tie, if you got to have a draw, I understand it in fighting. I still hate seeing it. Like, okay, let's pick something. Let's pick a winner. But this was as close to a draw, honestly, as I've seen. Katie Taylor took it on the scorecards. 2 judges had it in her favor. 1 judge had it for Amanda Serrano. And you want to talk about blood? Oh my goodness. Both of their faces bloody from the eyes down. They were warriors. They were just warriors, women warriors. It was awesome to see. So congrats to Katie Taylor on taking the belts, and to Amanda Serrano. I'm sure we're going to see a rematch here, and it'll be even bigger than this one was. Tons of fans there. I mean, the crowd delivered. I think there's an audience, not just for boxing, but women's boxing. And it's again, if it is great, it's all about the product. If you put out a good product that people want to see, people are going to be impressed by, then I don't think it matters who the gender is. It's like, hey, these are incredible athletes who are going to put on a show, and they absolutely did on Saturday night. So congrats to Katie Taylor from Ireland. And if I don't know if any young ladies listen to the program, but if you're interested in women's boxing, there's some great women's boxers out there. Those 2 I mentioned, there's Clarissa Shields, Michaela Meyer, probably the top 4 biggest names in women's boxing. And Their sport is continuing to grow. And I do think the men's side is more entertaining. I'm not going to like lie about it or beat around the bush. But the women's side of boxing on Saturday night really did deliver an outstanding product. And again, congrats to Katie Taylor on a huge win in what was considered the biggest fight in women's boxing history. So I agree with that. And I don't know a ton about the history, but what I saw was truly impressive. Okay, the NFL draft was this last week, Thursday through Saturday, 3 great days. If you're a football degenerate, you get your fill of it. A few things that went through my head, like, I don't know all the college players, but like you'll see a guy get drafted and then they'll start showing his film. And I watch a lot of college football, and you'll see a play or two that happens and you're like, oh, that was that guy, like who made that play. Cause I don't, remember all the names and everything. And you just like, you see the highlights and you're like, oh yeah, that guy's going to be pretty good. And everyone looks good on their tape, right? They don't show too many plays when a guy gets drafted of like, oh, he's a penalty machine. Watch these 4 or 5 holding calls. Like you don't see that often. It's usually like everybody that's drafted, oh, he's got great potential. He's going to do this. He's going to do that. So it's really funny to see how do you say that? The characterization of a guy with a couple of highlight films. But I know when my Rams draft, I look at the tape, and after 3 or 4 highlights, I'm always like, oh yeah, they made a great decision. This guy's going to be great. You never know, but I think all fans have that, like that hope, that anticipation of like, this is a great decision. This is going to be like, you have no way of knowing. He could be a bust, and a lot of guys are. Colin Cowherd always says half of the league in the NFL is undrafted, with dudes that, just came in and delivered. And even the drafted guys, they don't always shine. So it's hope and anticipation. It's about teams living in the future, not the past. Yes, that jab is at you, teams that live in the past. I want to count your banners that you haven't been close to in many, many years. I won't say any names. And the Rams can't live in the past. It's just last year they were Super Bowl champs, but it's on to the next season. And they made some good moves this week. I thought that I really liked addressing different needs and different positions. And I will say this, I think we absolutely need a draft in life. And maybe it's like every 10 years, it's like a self-examination, if you will. And we could go into this. I'll take myself, for instance. We'll go Matt Hersema. Like where would you fit in life? Like maybe it's different professions that are reaching out to you, but and it would be hilarious to be like, okay, with the 380th pick in the 12th round of the USA draft, Amazon drivers select Matt Hersema out of Covina, California, 37-year-old FedEx driver, graduate of Cal State Fullerton. And then you go to the film, right? Then you go to the film and you got Mel Kiper talking about looking at me, highlights of my 20s, when I was going to college and coaching in RHLA and never sleeping and doing all those things. Then you go into, and then after that, then he went into minor league baseball, and he was a minor league baseball umpire, and he's traveling the road. He's carrying a suitcase. He's getting yelled at. He's ejecting people. And you show those highlights where they circle on the TV and the little electric screen tactics and everything. And then they list you, and you stand there with your mug, and then it has like your accolades and then concerns. What I'm concerned about is his height to his weight ratio. Definitely a shorter guy who's got some weight to lose. He doesn't quite have the patience that he should when he's driving a vehicle. He's got to improve on that. But I think overall projection is that Matt Hersema will be doing a free podcast for quite some time and barely making rent, and will continue to be an asset as a driver. It's something like that. That's an example. Maybe we can I was trying to think of others. I don't want to bring other people in here. But imagine how you would feel if you were drafted in life, if we had a life draft. I'm not trying to go all Hunger Games here. I'm just saying maybe we'd perform better when no one's looking. Maybe we would pick up that piece of trash that we walk by on the street. Maybe we would slow down a little in our cars. Maybe we'd be better people. And maybe the big man upstairs is putting this draft together and thinking to himself, well, I'm going to have a draft someday. And there might be a few people undrafted, if you know what I mean. I'm not saying I'm a first rounder. That I am not, but I definitely want to get on stage. This analogy went okay, I thought. Okay. And then when the announcement is made, I'm there crying with family. Oh, this is great. Yeah, you know. Made girlfriends from that's another thing when you see the girlfriend. I posted something, I think it was Russell Wilson. He says, girlfriends, don't be that draft day pick. Be, you know, it's for later, be there later on. Anyway, I ran into a wall there with my analogy, but think about it. Drafted in life. Would you wear your best suit? You know, wear your best suit, or are you just going to sit there on the couch in your baggy sweatpants or whatever? Think about it. We should all be, right now is our NFL combine, right? We all played our lives in college, or we have our college film. Now it's time to establish ourselves at the NFL combine and maybe those one-on-one interviews, the teams and their prospective people. And I don't know, but it was just an analogy that popped in my head, and I wanted to be like, what if we had a life, and then, because then it would put, you know, the people that, hey, this guy had a great potential, but has not delivered. So sorry, you're going in the 10th round or whatever. There's something there. Text me, email me. Let me know what you think of that. I think we need a draft life that will assist with all of our, maybe we have it every couple of years, a redraft, right? Hey, you've been good at your job or whatever, but you're going to change careers soon. All right, new draft this year, Vegas. By the way, Vegas for the draft, that looked awesome. Thousands of people there, and it was the first time since 2019 there was a crowd. Spectacular, well done NFL draft. And the draft, if nothing else, it gives you hope, right? And it's like opening day in baseball for most fans. They're watching there thinking, "Oh, this is great. We're going to win the Super Bowl." And it's just the other thing I love about the draft, little things that pop up that I like to see. Proximity is great, and what I mean by that is like when players are drafted close to their team, to where they're from, right? As we were kids, we're growing up thinking, oh, I'm going to go to college at SC or UCLA, then I'm going to be drafted by the Lakers. Like you naturally think as a kid that you know you're always going to be in the city that you're in. And like LeBron James, he was drafted by the Cleveland Cavaliers and then abandoned his home city not once but twice because he's selfish and thinks he's better than Michael Jordan. But it's a different story. The point is, I think it's awesome. Now you're a free agent. It's just freedom of choice. You can go where you want. But I think there's something special to be said when you are picked up by a hometown team, right? And a few examples I wrote down. I mean, the number one pick, Jacksonville, Trayvon Walker out of Georgia. I know Jacksonville and Georgia, I mean, they're close enough, if you know what I mean. The second pick, Detroit, Allen Hutchinson, the defensive lineman out of Michigan. How cool is that? I mean, that's great. It's just, it's a great fit. And it's like, hey, the hometown kid. Let's see, Carolina, which was a high draft pick, Ike Ekwonu from North Carolina State. We were seeing a pattern here of guys close to their home in the first round. Kenyon Green out of Texas A&M goes to Houston. So again, it's not right up the street necessarily, but still pretty cool. Here's an example of two different states. The Washington Redskins took Jason Dotson from Penn State. Again, close to DC, Penn State, Happy Valley, a little far, but still proximity. And then, of course, the big one was Kenny Pickett out of Pittsburgh, being drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers, going to get to play in the same stadium. I just love stuff like that. I love seeing that. Robert Woods, who played at SC, that was a big reason he came to the Rams, was to play in LA. I don't think he would have been itching to go to St. Louis, but just to be in LA, I love seeing that. And I was like, wait, where's this guy from? The Rams drafted Quentin Lake out of UCLA, so gets to stay here. Son of the great Carnell Lake, who was a Steelers safety for quite some time. So I just love that proximity in the draft. You don't always have to stay home, but I think it's pretty cool when guys get to. It's like an extra bonus to your dream of getting drafted in the NFL or any other professional sports league. It's just like, man, we get to stay close to home too. Wow. Anyway, 5 Georgia defensive players taken in the first round Usually, I mean, that's a pretty high number. Just to put it in perspective, the only reason I bring it up, there were 5 Georgia defensive players taken in the first round of 32 picks in the NFL draft. To put that in perspective, there were 4 total ACC players taken in the first round. There were 4 total Pac-12 players taken in the first round and 0 Big 12 players taken in the first round. So half of Georgia's side of the ball was out just on defense, was taken and had more than those other power conferences. So that tells you how great that defense was last year, that for the national champions. Let me see what I want to get to here today. I have a kind of a brief rules, baseball slang, and a baseball ruling thing for the end of the show today. But before we get to that, you know what California needs? Let's get into it now. You know what California needs right now? I just think this is spectacular. California needs more of a gas tax. More. I mean, you already pay the most gas for the most in the country. I mean, it's the highest gas prices. You already have the highest gas taxes. Let's raise it again. That will solve everything. Climate warming solved. If you just charge people more money, it makes things safer, apparently. No, it doesn't, because that gas is still going to be spent. You're still going to, like, the same amount is still going to be used. This concept in California, hey, just raise the taxes. This shows you, I want you guys to you Californians who vote these people in, they do not care about you. They certainly don't care about poor people, or they would not keep raising a gas tax. Because you know who everybody pays for gas: rich people, middle class people, poor people. And who do you think this hurts the most? This doesn't hurt the rich guy. I raise the gas tax, they'll pay it. Yeah. But what about us poor people who don't have money, and everything, all our money goes into our cars? So this is the solution. This is how out of touch. I don't ever want to hear like, oh, the Democrats, they're for the little guy. You're not for the little guy. You want to raise taxes. And then the concept of, we're to only raise taxes on the rich. How do you think that affects everyone else? Raise taxes on the rich. Let's raise the minimum wage. Okay, guess what? Burgers are going to be $11 now. This whole concept of, just charge people more money. Like, what are we doing? And if you look at California, you think roads and all these things are being improved upon. Where's this money going? That's another thing. Where's the gas tax? Where's all this money going? Potholes everywhere. California takes more money from people and then spends it on worthless stuff than that is where we are the Golden State. We are first place at stealing money from our civilians and spending it on nonsense. I'm going to change our name to the Bronze State here soon, because there's no way we are the Golden State anymore. I saw that. I about lost my mind. It's like completely out of touch with the way people are struggling, because they don't care about you. I don't know how else to say it. They don't care about you, or they wouldn't do this to you. Raise the gas tax. Which side of the aisle you think did that? I'm just curious. I don't look at wherever you vote, wherever you believe, fine. But you got to look at actual things that are happening that are affecting your life. And I know, look, it's not always, when Bush was in office, hey, those wars were quite expensive. And I was support this, but the economy started to suffer, and then, gas went up. I remember that. I mean, by the end of it all, it was not looking good. And sometimes economies are just, I don't know, sometimes you luck out, I guess. But I do know that raising the cost of everything, like raising the cost without raising raising wages without raising the costs of things, is like, that makes zero sense. Like, where do you think the money's coming from? Oh, we'll just print more. Just print more. Californians, they can pay for gas. Not a big deal. And the gas has gone down a little. And I had this ride with this girl. I drove her to from Texas, a Texas girl who was moving out to California. She was flying back, and we drove her to LAX, and she was talking to me about how much she doesn't like Texas and she wants to move out here. And I was just like, it was a funny conversation, because I'm a Californian who wants out of here. And then I was like, well, yeah, at least you're not paying $6 a gallon in gas. And she was like, well, we're almost 5. I was like, I'll take almost 5 anytime. So anyway, more frustrations there. So it was a good conversation with her in the car ride. I mean, it was a, hour plus, probably hour 15, hour 20 ride from out here, Glendora to LAX. And it was so funny. I think I picked her up at like 7 a.m. and she was like, hey, so my flight's at 8, or can you get me there by 8? I'm like, it's so funny when people do that. They get in your car and they're like, they request the time to be there by. It's like, I have zero control over that. You realize. Like, why would you get a ride this close to your takeoff? Some people, I don't know. I was like, I don't know if you're ready for California, ma'am. If this is how you're going to plan your travels, I can get there in an hour. No, you can't. So I tried to tell her, hey, she was like a screenplay writer or something, or she had quite a story. It was fun talking to her, but it was just funny. Is 2 different people, someone that wanted to leave Texas to come here. I was like, you got to be one of the only people I know that that is leaving Texas to come here, when me and a lot of other people. And she's like, no, our traffic's bad too now. I'm like, ma'am, this is traffic. Look, you see both sides of the freeway stopped. This is LA. This is California. So be careful what you wish for. But I wish her nothing but the best. Nice lady. And it was good to have a conversation with someone that we clearly disagreed on things, but it was a civil conversation. And I got her there in a timely manner somewhat, but anyway, that was a fun part of my week last week, going to LAX. I have a question for everybody regarding disinformation. So sometimes people throw terms out that they hear and they use. I've done it too, but like at some point you got to like establish what it is. So Democrats and the left they're terrified. This guy, Elon Musk, is so terrifying. By the way, how come this guy wasn't a racist or whatever until after he bought Twitter? Isn't that kind of odd? Were people just holding it in and waiting? Wait, we have stuff on him, but we're going to wait until he does something we don't like. Is that how that works? Or maybe is it being fabricated? I don't know. It's so funny how people aren't demons until they do something that someone doesn't like. Think about it. Think about that. I don't understand it. And this whole concept of, well, he's misogynistic. He was talking bad about women on the board of Twitter. We got to stop this whole concept of, well, if you criticize someone, that must mean you don't like them. No, actually, you see them as an equal. If you see them as a person, if you refuse to criticize someone or whatever because they're different than you, and that was your like thinking, then yeah, you would be prejudiced, you'd be racist, you'd be whatever, misogynistic. But no, if you see someone as an equal, in my opinion, if you see someone as an equal, you don't get special treatment. You don't make special treatment for them because you do see them as an equal. So think about that person that is in your life or whatever, that you see them as an equal. It's usually, guys being guys or whatever, but like if you treat someone, it's not poor. If you treat someone poorly, like bad, hey, by all means. But if you're having a civil conversation or civil debate or whatever with someone, it's because you view them as on your level. It's not putting them down. He's not just yelling at someone because she's a woman or yelling at. It's like everyone always tries to find an edge, find a reason to dislike someone, and that they're just like, well, he must doesn't like women. It's like, oh, I don't think that's the truth. Plus, I never quite understood that. People are like, he must not like women. I'm like, actually, most of us like women. I don't know. But anyway, go besides the point. So Elon Musk buys Twitter and the world is ending. The sky is falling. It's very, very scary stuff. And they keep throwing out this term, disinformation. It's going to be disinformation. When you say that term, you have to give examples of what the disinformation is. I'll give you a few. Was it disinformation when they said, oh, masks will work? False. It was a disinformation when they said, hey, take the vaccine. You won't be able to get COVID or spread COVID. That was false. Well, you'll just if you take it, you won't be affected by it as much. Oh, you mean like if a normal healthy person got COVID anyway, like they're probably going to be fine? It's like there's been the censoring, the removing these scientists, these doctors. How many doctors and scientists were removed from Twitter in recent years because they didn't stick to the narrative that they didn't stick to the narrative that was the only source, the single source of truth. That's my favorite line ever. We are the single source of truth. Dr. Malone, Joe Rogan getting all kinds of flack for having a discussion with someone that is a so-called expert in their field. I thought we were supposed to trust experts, or only experts you believe. Like, it's so one-sided. It's hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious. Joe Rogan, he promotes horse paste. That's disinformation. Well, actually, no, you're just spreading disinformation by saying that. Whereas he was prescribed by a doctor. He had CNN, CJ Gupta, their medical expert on. He called him out. You guys said I took horse paste. You guys said this is medicine for humans. And he backed up. Well, yeah, we shouldn't have said that. The very next day, he goes back on CNN and says, well, yeah, it is a horse dewormer. It is a horse dewormer. So who is spreading disinformation here? You can't just accuse somebody of something and then not follow up or not give examples. And opinions are not examples. Facts are stubborn things. I swear. Didn't Ronald Reagan say that? By the way, on this podcast on Friday, I'm going to have a man named Ron Reagan on the podcast. And obviously, it's not the 40th president of the United States, who has been gone for quite some time. But you guys will be entertained by Ron. Ron is a veteran of the U.S. Navy, worked on submarines for 20 years. I've umpired college baseball with him a few times. He now lives in Georgia and is a huge Alabama Crimson Tide football fan. So plenty to talk to Ron Reagan about on Friday. We recorded our conversation already, and you guys will hear that. But anyway, back to my point. It just, the left side of the aisle is so good at terminology and phrases. And it's so funny how they make something mainstream overnight. Now it's like, oh yeah, they're about disinformation. Actually, they're not about disinformation. They're about all information. Like get it out there. And then you decide what is best for you. Isn't it funny how, like, for instance, it's okay. Most doctors will say, go get a second opinion. How many times have you heard that over your life? Whether it's surgery or an illness or something, it's like, I'm going to go get a second opinion. Now, to get a second opinion is, I don't know, racist or tyrannical or something. I don't know. I lose track of the outrage. Single source. This doctor says this is all that matters. You will listen to this. It's like, wait a minute. How come these other guys who had other thoughts, other opinions based off of data, they are being censored and shut out? That's what you're terrified of, because someone may have something to say about a subject. Doesn't even have to be COVID or COVID related. They have a different take than you, the great CNN gods of our time. This term keeps getting thrown around left and right. Disinformation is a real thing. You've seen a lot in military conflicts, and police detect disinformation. Sometimes you put stuff out there that you want people to believe, and that's all a real thing. And I believe it's been happening here now, and it's always going to be happening. But you got to give example. You can't just say that's disinformation. So why is it? Basically, disinformation is what you deem to be a lie, right? You promote it as fact when it probably isn't. So I do know there's been some disinformation spread, but there's been countless examples the past couple of years just with COVID. Dr. Fauci, he's the minister of disinformation, and then there's going to be this disinformation board of Homeland Security or something. That's terrifying. Like who is this? This is like the social media with the opinion checkers. Oh, sorry, fact checkers. It's just crazy, the lack of free speech, the fear of free speech. It's just, there are some people, I get, there's just a lot of people that want to be controlled. I don't understand it. It doesn't make any sense to me. I want to be able to say what I want, buy what I want. I don't want other people to be telling me what to do. But some people, I don't know, they get happy with that. Please tell me what to do. I can't think for myself. I'm not smart enough. Please. What should I eat today? What should I do today? I don't understand. I don't. What isn't self-control? Is that still a thing? Self-control, or is that? Are we not allowed to say that anymore? Self-control or other people? I don't know. For me, I like self-control. I'm not about other people controlling me. I don't understand it. I don't want any part of it. Okay, let's get to some baseball talk. Just as the end here, baseball's in full swing. Hey, only a few more weeks in the college baseball postseason. But as we end our show here with a few baseball things, baseball slang, your baseball slang term of the day. and then a baseball rule of the day. Now, I went a little long-winded last week with my baseball rule thing, so I'm going to be a little more brief today. Just something that is a pet peeve of mine that I want people, if I want you to just remember just a phrase, one little phrase that I think will make you a smarter baseball person, because there's people on major league teams, major league networks that can't even say this right. And I want my audience, if nothing else, to be able to know the difference between these two things. But first, to the baseball slang today, kind of a fun one. Have you guys ever heard the term Bush League? And you kind of know what it is, but you don't know why it is what it is. And basically, Bush League, for those non-baseball people out there, is when there's an act kind of made by somebody in the game that it might even be legal, but it's like, that's outside the lines. That was too much. That was kind of a dirty play. Maybe that was unnecessary. Maybe it's a hard slide. Maybe it's and sometimes these moments in the game are warranted, hustle plays or whatever. But there are times when, hey, that's Bush League, or you threw at my guy, or a guy pimped a home run, and then you don't throw at him, you throw at some smaller guy just to be like, send a message. And it's like, hey, that was Bush League, man. If you're going to hit someone, you hit me. So Bush League is a term. It's just like, I say JV all the time. Oh, it's JV. It's kind of that way, in the sense of it's just a play or an act made during a game that is just like, hey, that's out of bounds. This is professional baseball. You wouldn't do that crap here. You see a lot of college theatrics that would be considered Bush League. That's why it doesn't happen as much in professional baseball. And even when it does, even though we're in a new age of baseball, the game still polices itself. Anyway, Bush League comes from like basically referring to minor leagues, but below minor leagues, and it's called Bush League because it's from like a rural area. The rural, you're not in a big city like a big league MLB team, and you're not even in the minor leagues. You're in the Bush leagues. You're out in the outskirts. You're in the rural suburb, not even suburbs. You're playing in some desert somewhere. That's why the term Bush League is said, and because it's lower than low. It's classless move type of thing. I want you guys look it up if you don't quite believe the way I'm saying it, which I understand. I don't always put it the best words into it, but Bush, hey man, that was Bush League. And you'll hold, some people will say BS or say the actual term, but in baseball, you hear that a lot. That's Bush League. And maybe you hear it in other sports as well. So don't be Bush League out there. Okay. I used to kind of do some Bush League things. I gotta be honest. I was kind of a dirty basketball player. But there's a time and there's not a time and a place. I did some things I shouldn't have done, but Bush League, don't be Bush League. Be a pro, be professional. And we're seeing a lot of Bush League stuff kind of trickle up into Major League Baseball. And there's a lot of guys who've been around a long time who are like, we're not standing for that. That's not how this game is played. It's been played for over 100 years and been just fine. We don't need sports writers telling us how the game should be played now. Sorry. It's just baseball is different. I try to tell you guys that all the time. So Bush League, that is your baseball slang term for today. Now, as far as our baseball rule goes, to end of the day, it's just two words we're going to talk about. And I will go into each of these directly here as the seasons go on, but just two terms I want you guys to memorize today, and to just, when you speak of these, speak properly. Okay. Interference and obstruction. I've said this before on the pod, but I want to make it very, very clear. Okay, there's two different acts. People will say that's interference, or they'll say that's obstruction, and they're always wrong again about the term. They're always wrong. They're two different things. They usually involve some type of interference or obstruction. Like the terms should be self-explanatory, but I want to make something clear to you guys. Interference is an act by the offense. Obstruction is an act by the defense. And try to just, I hate when everyone's are like, hey, that was interference by the shortstop. It's like, it's obstruction by the shortstop. Let me briefly explain. I'm not going to get into all these. Again, I want this to just be to take this away. Interference by the offense, obstruction by the defense. Okay, if there's a batted ball and the runner is running to the next base, and he runs into the fielder who's attempting to field the ball. Okay, that would be interference. That runner interfered with the fielder's ability to field the baseball, right? What would be another example of interference? Batter interference. A guy swings through a pitch and then steps in front of the catcher as he's trying to throw somebody out. That's batter interference. So there's different types of interference, but the interference is done by the offense. There's one exception, and I don't want you to get carried away with it. It is, well, there's two. There's catcher interference. That's a play where the catcher interferes with the batter's bat. Okay, you could call it catcher's obstruction, but it's catcher's interference. There's also umpire interference, which we'll get to. But as far as the players themselves, okay, interference is done by the offense, a base runner, a batter, runner's lane, a batter running to first base. He's outside the runner's lane, and he interferes. He interferes with the throw to first base, or the first baseman's ability to catch the throw from first base. Okay, those are offensive interference. Just keep in mind, offensive interference. Instead of OO, it's OI. Offensive interference, not offensive obstruction. It's OI, offensive interference. Okay, and then on the flip side, obstruction is done by the defense. Obstruction is basically you're obstructing base runners' ability to run the bases. You are an obstruction. You are a fixed. You are in their way, right? You could say interfere, but it's obstruction. So a guy is rounding third base trying to score. Third baseman is just kind of standing around, looking around, and he's in the runner's way. There doesn't even need to be contact for interference or obstruction, by the way. It's just you impede the progress of a runner or interfere with some type of throw or batted ball. But the defense obstructs. Defensive obstruction. Think of it this way: the defense is generally when you're defending a hill or a position, right? You put up objects to kind of obstruct the enemy from advancing. So defensive obstruction. I just came up with that. I don't know if it works, but the offense interferes, the defense obstructs. So I don't want to hear, as a coach, whether you're at Care Youth League or Rio Hondo or wherever, I don't want you to point to your TV and be like, "Hey, that's obstruction." When it's by the offense, or flip it, the offensive interference. It's like, no, it's called obstruction. Interference, obstruction. Know the two terms. And there is the exception, I know, catcher interference, that will confuse everyone to be like, wait, I thought, come on, man, bear with me. So I'm keeping it simple today with the baseball rules. Let's know the different, and I will get into the different types of obstruction, the different types of interference here as we go weekly. But just from a terminology standpoint, you will sound like $1,000,000 if you're a coach dealing with a high school umpire, or if you are, I don't know, if you're a fan and whatever, you will sound like $1,000,000 if you just know these two terms. I can't tell you how many arguments I've had on a field where a coach has been like, hey, that's interference. I'd be like, you mean obstruction? Like, yeah, that's what I meant. It's like, I already know I won the argument. If you don't know the terms, how can you win an argument if you don't know the terms? Think about that. Like if you don't speak the language with someone you're in a debate with, you're probably going to lose the argument, right? So if you want to make a point, be sure to know the terminology. And it's something that as officials, you get better at in knowing the terms. I talked a ton of basketball terms with Tony Padilla a few weeks ago. That's just based off of me being around the game and knowing points of emphasis and things. But the more you know about the game of baseball, we all think we know what the slang terms are, right? But here's why they mean what they mean. It's similar to the rules of baseball. I mean, the more you speak like an umpire, I think the better you will be aware of how the game is played. You'll look at things maybe you didn't look at before. And I think you'll appreciate the game of baseball so much more. So those are my 2 cents for today. Interference is by the offense. Obstruction is by the defense. Okay. Very simple indeed. And Bush leagues, don't be that guy. Don't be that guy. That's Bush league. And you're going to cause a ruckus and really get people angry if you continue to do so. I think that's it for me today, guys. I appreciate you bearing with me on this middle of the week podcast episode here. Be sure to watch those LA Kings in the postseason here, and definitely get out and support the Rio Hondo Prep Cares. We don't want their seasons to end here. The softball and baseball team, every pitch will matter. Every game, obviously matters. It's do or die, win or go home. So let's hope each team can make a run or two in them, and we can have some more things to talk about here on the Get Home Safe podcast. Go Kings, go. Go Cares, go. It should be a fun week. May the 4th. Good luck to everyone. Let's get through it together. It's something we just say. We're all in this together, right? And self-control. I think that's still a thing. I think we're allowed to have self-control, controlling ourselves, and maybe make bad decisions, make good decisions, but the onus is always on us. So guys, have a great rest of your week. I will be back Friday with Ron Reagan. Fun conversation. I guarantee you don't want to miss. Not a Rio Hondo Prep guy, but a ton of great things we talked about. So I want you guys to hear that. And hopefully there's some multiple playoff baseball and softball games this week and next that we can be discussing. So guys, enjoy your week. I will be back Friday. Go Kings, go. Go Cares, go. But guys, as always, no matter what you're doing, whether you're out on the town or around in third base, get home safe.